Have you ever wondered if you can be incredibly wealthy and still be super thrifty? You know the saying, money talks and wealth whispers. Well, it turns out that there are some incredibly rich folks who embody this idea to the fullest. In this fascinating journey, we'll introduce you to 15 incredibly wealthy individuals who live surprisingly frugal lives, just like your average Joe. And trust me, some of these stories will leave you utterly astonished. Stay with us until the end because number 1 is a real shocker. Okay, this one might not come as a huge shock. Some time ago, Kristen Bell faced a bit of controversy for not bathing her kids regularly. Visiting her house might be a bit of a roller coaster ride for her guests. But here's the thing, saving water isn't the only way Kristen saves money. Even though Kristen and her husband, Dax Shepard, have a combined net worth of over $40 million, they're not really into those flashy, over-the-top parties and extravagant events that some celebrities go for. In fact, when they decided to get married, they kept it super simple, and the entire wedding cost them just $142. That's definitely not the usual Hollywood style, right? Kristen Bell is also known for being quite savvy with coupons. It seems like even with all the fame and fortune, her mom instincts still drive her to save wherever she can. Now, let's hope those kids eventually get their showers. But speaking of oversharing, the next celebrity on our list might just take it to a whole new level. If you want to become really rich and stay that way, pay attention to Mark Cuban. He's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team, and he's known for being super smart with his money. Even when he was just 20 years old, he figured out how to live on a tight budget. He squeezed as many people as he could into one apartment to save money. Sometimes he even had to sleep on the couches or the floor. But Mark Cuban's money-saving skills started way before that. When he was just 12 years old, he sold garbage bags to make enough money to buy new basketball shoes. All his hard work and smart money choices have paid off big time. Today, he has more than $3 billion. But here's the cool part. Mark hasn't let all that money change him. You can still spot him at basketball games, cheering loudly. And he's not wearing fancy clothes, nope. He's just in regular jeans and worn-out sneakers. And guess what? There are more people like Mark who know how to live smartly with their money. So, let's move on to the next person on our list, who's a big part of one of the most famous things in the world. Ever wondered how the famous host of America's Next Top Model keeps herself looking stunning? Well, we might never discover all her beauty secrets, but what we do know is that Tyra Banks is all about saving money where she can. Her job often takes her to different hotels, and she's pretty clever about it. Instead of splurging on new bottles of shampoo and conditioner, she grabs those little free samples they provide in hotels. And guess what? Tyra's not too proud to enjoy leftovers either. That's right, even though she's a big celebrity, she's not wasteful and doesn't let fame go to her head. Now, let's see who's up next. Someone else who knows how to keep it real despite being in the spotlight. When you put together the It couple, you're looking at an incredible combined net worth of over $275 million. These two are among the most famous faces on the planet, and what's making them even more well-known lately are their money-saving habits. This Hollywood power couple is determined to give their kids a normal upbringing as possible. It's not the easiest task, but they're making it work. Some of their rules include not showering their children with more than one gift at Christmas. Mila Kunis, who grew up in the USSR, still holds on to some of those old habits. And you know what? That's probably a good thing, because we've seen how spoiled Hollywood kids can turn out, and it's not always pretty. Another one of their rules, similar to Kristen Bell, is not bathing their kids until they visibly have dirt on them. Yeah, maybe they could reconsider some of these policies. But don't worry, they do know the importance of good hygiene. Now, let's move on to the next people on our list, who will show you that living on a budget doesn't mean compromising on cleanliness. Queen Elizabeth, may she rest in peace, showed us that she had both a crown on her head and wisdom in her wallet. Surprisingly, she was quite frugal, even though you might think that the royal family has enough wealth to rival entire countries. The Queen has made sure not a single penny went to waste. She had a knack for conserving resources, like insisting that all the palace light bulbs had lower wattage and should be turned off when not needed. She didn't believe in tossing things away either. She reused wrapping paper, used the same worn-out sheets, and held on to her handbags for an astonishing 40 years. So, for all the folks who think they need a new outfit for every single occasion, just remember, if the ruler of England could make things last, why shouldn't you? Queen Elizabeth was truly a queen in every sense, and her wisdom has left its mark on her family as well. It's like a mother, like a daughter-in-law. The Duchess of Cambridge is a globally recognized fashion icon, but she's also famous for doing something that might surprise you. She's not afraid to wear the same outfit multiple times, even on TV. While super rich celebrities might think it's beneath them to repeat outfits, Kate Middleton is a shining example of why that kind of mindset is kind of immature. After all, there are so many more meaningful ways to use your money. Maybe she learned this savvy approach from Queen Elizabeth herself, or perhaps it's just a natural habit. Either way, let's give a big salute to the Duchess. She's got a smart head on her shoulders and knows that her $10 million fortune is better spent elsewhere. Now, speaking of smart money choices and famous women in the world of fashion, we have another national icon up next, who's proven herself to be incredibly wise with her finances. When we think of class, we often think of Michelle Obama. During her time in the White House, she made a remarkable choice. Instead of using taxpayers' money for her wardrobe, she paid for her entire clothing collection herself. Those saved funds were put to better use for more important purposes. Most of the elegant dresses and gowns she wore while her husband was in office were generously donated by top-notch fashion designers. But for everything else, she didn't opt for expensive designer labels. She went shopping in regular stores, just like us. Michelle Obama teaches us that there's no such thing as being too thrifty when it comes to spending wisely. And if someone tries to tell you otherwise, well, they might not be the best people to take advice from. Here's a fun fact. During one of her appearances on NBC's Today Show, she was spotted wearing a simple $35 dress from the popular fast fashion brand H&M. It just goes to show that even with over $100 million in net worth, she didn't get there by throwing money at things she didn't really need. Now, speaking of fellow celebrities who relish extravagant lives and readily flaunt their wealth, let's transition to the world of YouTube, where we encounter the reigning king in our next entry. Let's dive into the world of Felix Schellberg, famously known as PewDiePie, a multifaceted talent who is a singer, a comedian, and the undisputed king of YouTube. Unless we're counting on those megacorporations with limitless resources. Yes, looking at you, T-Series. PewDiePie's story is about a self-made individual who has never lost touch with his humble beginnings. While many of his fellow YouTubers revel in flashy lifestyles in the glitzy heart of Los Angeles, often stirring up controversies, PewDiePie remains a beacon of humility. A quick peek into any of his videos will reveal a consistent image. Hoodies and t-shirts are his signature attire. He doesn't squander his earnings on extravagant cars he can't realistically afford. Even after parting ways with Disney, he opted to trim down his production budget. Most of the time, he records his content from a spare room in his own house. PewDiePie embodies the belief that when you're at the top, there's no need to flaunt it to the world. As the saying goes, wealth is quiet, and a few individuals exemplify this notion better than our next entry. Now, let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of one of the world's biggest companies, and the mastermind behind the social media revolution. With a staggering net worth of over $108 billion, he's not someone who needs to worry about money. But here's the twist. If you bumped into Mark on the street, you'd probably mistake him for a regular millennial or a recent college graduate dealing with student loans. Seriously, most of the time you'll spot him wearing his trademark attire, jeans and a simple gray t-shirt. And when he's heading to work, he drives a rather ordinary $30,000 Acura. You might wonder if there's some grand plan behind this everyday image. Well, Mark and his wife have been quite open about their plan to give away most of their wealth before they pass away. Now that's an agenda that most people can definitely support. Before we unveil our top picks, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. By doing so, you'll get an inside look into how wealthy individuals choose to live their lives. And stay tuned because our number one spot is truly eye-opening. Let's delve deeper into the fascinating world of Vincent Kartheiser, a name that may not ring a bell for everyone. While he might not boast the kind of Hollywood fame that some others on our list do, He's certainly made his mark in the entertainment industry. You might remember him for his starring role in the acclaimed series Mad Men, a role that has contributed to his impressive net worth, which currently stands at around $3 million. While this sum might not dazzle like the fortunes of the mega wealthy, it's certainly nothing to scoff at. What truly sets Vincent apart, though, is his remarkable modesty. Despite his steadily rising career and financial success, he remains refreshingly down to earth. You won't find him going to great lengths to impress anyone. Instead, you're more likely to spot him dressed like an everyday person you might pass on the street. What's even more surprising is that he doesn't own a car, an unusual choice in the world of celebrities. In fact, he's actively engaged in the process of giving away or selling anything he no longer requires, embracing minimalism in a way that's uncommon among the Hollywood elite. But if you're curious about the creme de la creme of our list, those ultra-wealthy individuals who aren't just rich, but possess dynasties that have withstood the test of time, then stay tuned. We're about to introduce you to these remarkable tycoons. Number 5 on our list is Amancio Ortega. You might not recognize his name, but you definitely know his brand, Zara. This guy is incredibly rich, with a mind-blowing net worth of $80 billion. He's the king of retail, the richest in the world. What's really cool about Amancio Ortega is that he didn't start out with a silver spoon in his mouth. Nope, he comes from a super humble background. But today, he's the big boss of one of the most famous clothing companies on the planet. Despite all that wealth and success, you'd never guess it by looking at him. He's all about keeping it simple, usually rocking a basic shirt and pants. He's not a fan of ties, but he does break out a suit from time to time. Here's the kicker. Before 1999, there wasn't a single public photo of this guy. He's like a real-life James Bond, keeping his life super private. But here's the really awesome part. Amancio Ortega is also a big-hearted guy. He loves helping out and has donated millions to healthcare causes. Most of his generosity goes back to his home turf, Spain. And if that's not enough to impress you, we've got more billionaire tales coming your way. This is a guy you might not recognize by name, but I'm pretty sure you've heard of his store. It's Ingvar Kamprad, the mastermind behind IKEA, the place with all those cool flat-pack furniture items. Now, what's interesting about Kamprad is that he's so connected to his roots that he named his company using his initials. The I for the first letter of his family's farm, and the K for the first letter of a nearby town back in his home country, Sweden. So basically, his name is all over that store. This makes him the second Swede on our list, right after PewDiePie. Seems like being down to earth is a common trait in Sweden, even though he ended up with over $50 billion in his lifetime and even held the title of the world's richest person at one point. Kamprad never forgot his humble beginnings. Can you believe that this billionaire used to sell matchsticks from his bicycle? Talk about starting small. And here's the cool part. He didn't let all that wealth change him. Kamprad was often spotted wearing clothes that looked like he'd had them forever, and he was perfectly fine flying economy class when he traveled. Alongside his wife, they had this down-to-earth blue-collar vibe that made people adore them even more. But if you're getting tired of hearing about CEOs you don't know, don't worry. Up next, we've got a name you'll definitely recognize. Hold on to your hats because our number 3 spot goes to none other than Leonardo DiCaprio. Yes, the same guy who's made a name for himself in blockbuster movies. But here's the kicker. If you bumped into him on the street when he's not filming those billion-dollar flicks, you'd hardly recognize him. That's because Leo is all about flying under the radar. Instead of making a grand show of his wealth with fancy clothes and flashy cars, Leo prefers to keep it low-key. You might spot him cruising around town on rented bikes, donning a baseball hat and comfy shorts. Can you believe it? This guy's got a jaw-dropping net worth of over $300 million, but he's not out there flaunting it. It's like he's taken a page from his character in The Great Gatsby. You know, the lesson that flaunting your riches can lead to tragedy. These folks we've talked about today have shown us something truly valuable. If you want to get rich, you've got to learn how to live modestly. You don't need to splash your cash on unnecessary bling just to show off. The key is to only spend your money on things you genuinely need, even if they happen to be flashy. At the number 2 spot, we've got none other than Warren Buffett, also known as the Oracle of Omaha. This guy wears many hats. Businessman, investor, philanthropist, he's practically a household name all across America. Oh, and did I mention he's one of the wealthiest folks on the planet? Forbes says he's got a whopping net worth of over $124 billion. Now here's the jaw-dropping part. Despite all that wealth and fame, Warren still lives in the very same house he bought over 60 years ago. Can you believe it? He's not budging. Why, you ask? Well, according to the man himself, that $31,500 he paid for it way back when was the best deal he had ever made. Why? Because it's packed with over half a century of cherished memories. Now that's a sentiment that really hits home. After all, there's no price tag on happy memories. And finally, we've reached the end of our list. Next up, we've got a person who's one of the most sought-after actors in the world. But guess what? Even with all that fame and fortune, he lives a humble life that's genuinely inspiring and down-to-earth nature of Keanu Reeves, a man with a multitude of virtues. Not only does he possess immense talent, but he also showcases a remarkably modest lifestyle, setting him apart from many of his celebrity peers. Despite amassing an impressive net worth of $380 million, Keanu Reeves shuns the allure of a lavish and extravagant lifestyle that often ensnares other stars. While it would be a breeze for him to drop a couple of $1,000,000 on a fleet of luxury cars, he chooses not to. Instead, he remains remarkably unassuming. What's even more astonishing is that Keanu is often spotted using public transportation, including the subway. If you were to encounter him on the street, you'd be forgiven for not recognizing him as one of the world's highest paid actors. He embodies the spirit of the everyday person, endearing him to fans around the globe. They've demonstrated that no one becomes wealthy without making wise choices in the end, except for the lottery. And let's face it, we all know how that typically turns out. Here are the top 5 examples of wealthy people that practice frugality and simplicity in their daily lives. These tales serve as a reminder that success depends not just on resources, but also on how you employ them. The stories of these extremely rich athletes who live like average Joes remind us that wealth doesn't have to change who you are. These individuals have shown that humility, frugality, and a grounded approach to life can coexist with immense success. Their lives serves as a testament to the idea that money should be a tool for improving one's own life and the lives of others, rather than a means to flaunt extravagance. Their choices, like cycling to work or wearing simple clothing, highlight the importance of values such as humility, gratitude, and responsible spending. These athletes have demonstrated that true wealth isn't just about the number in your bank account, but about the character you maintain, the values you uphold, and the positive impact you can make on the world. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these remarkable individuals who choose to live life modestly despite their incredible wealth. Do you admire their approach, or do you think differently about how to enjoy success? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more inspiring stories. And be sure to check out our next video for more incredible tales.